Have you ever noticed how easy it is to forget about yourself while trying to solve everything and help everyone else? How many times have you put your feelings aside, prioritized your own desires, remained silent, and postponed what you most needed to do for yourself? Perhaps that's why the exhaustion never goes away. It was never a lack of energy. It was never weakness. It's the weight of the tasks and duties you carried for fear of disappointing someone, out of habit of taking on everything alone, because you thought you needed to carry the world on your shoulders to deserve a little peace. But something begins to change when you decide to look inward. At that moment, the mind slows down and gains space to breathe. You stop chasing after what doesn't depend on you and begin to notice what has always been there, right in front of you. Your life needs your attention. Stoicism reminds you of this every day. You weren't born to control everything. You were born not to abandon yourself. Calmness arises when you understand what is in your hands and what is not. Now, imagine living without diminishing yourself to please others, without staying silent just to avoid arguments, without trying to carry everything alone. Imagine reclaiming your place, listening to what you feel and discovering that there is much more strength within you than you thought. That's what the Stoics want you to understand. The strength to choose where to put your energy, how to use your time, and how to protect your peace. The power of caring for yourself as someone who has value. Starting today, you will learn to handle situations with more serenity, to manage your emotions responsibly, and to make choices that truly benefit you. The practices in this video help transform confusion into understanding, anxiety into focus, and fatigue into a clear path. Because when you truly decide to take care of yourself, the world stops suffocating you and you finally begin to live your own story. Before we begin, I'll only ask two things of you. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way, this content can reach more people who need to remember their own strength. Now, let's go straight to our first lesson. Number 1. Don't diminish yourself to fit into the life of someone who doesn't respect you. Have you ever noticed how we slowly fade away when we try to hold on to someone who doesn't even try to stay? It happens in the little things, in the everything's fine that isn't really fine, in the silence that holds back the words you wanted to say, in the giving up to avoid arguing, even when you're in pain. There's a truth that many people avoid facing. You can end up losing yourself trying not to lose someone else, and that's almost always what happens. You accept little affection because you want to believe that's enough. You pretend the disrespect didn't happen. You accept empty apologies. You endure hurts that always come back, all for fear of being alone. But the loneliness you imagine doesn't even come close to the loneliness of being next to someone who makes you feel smaller. The Stoics saw this very clearly. For them, enduring everything is not a virtue when the price is one's own dignity. To endure anything is not goodness. It is a slow way of giving up. Think of a bridge. It doesn't collapse all at once. First, cracks appear on the inside, then it weakens, until the moment comes when it can no longer hold anything. You turn that bridge over when you carry burdens that aren't yours. Montaigne said that no one can be faithful to everyone without first being unfaithful to themselves. That's exactly what happens when you bend too much to fit into someone else's life. Inside, you start to disappear. Healthy relationships work like an exchange. One gives, the other gives. One cares, the other cares. One supports, the other supports. But when you're the only one holding everything together, you cease to be a person and become merely a support. And support, when it becomes an obligation, goes unnoticed, is not valued, and is not recognized. It's used while it holds up and thrown away when it breaks. The Stoic practice is simple and liberating. Limits don't push away the right people. Limits only show who should really stay. Those who love you aren't afraid of your limits. They're afraid of losing you when they cross them. Those who want what's best for you don't ask for obedience. They ask for truth. Those who value you don't get angry when you say no. They worry when you forget about yourself. So ask yourself a sincere question. How much of myself did I have to leave behind to keep this person in my life? If this question weighs on your heart, if it squeezes you inside, if it makes your voice tremble just thinking about the answer, then the truth is simple. You're not losing someone, you're losing yourself, and in the end the truth is harsh, but it sets you free. Losing someone hurts, but losing who you are destroys you. So return to yourself, rediscover yourself, reclaim your presence and put yourself back at the center of your own life. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you close to protect the only thing that can't be replaced if lost. You. Number 2. Start controlling your emotions. Have you ever noticed how there's always someone trying to push your boundaries? Sometimes it's a rude remark, a hasty gesture, a comment that didn't even need to be made. Before you know it, you're no longer choosing what to do, you're just returning the mess you received. The Stoics said something harsh but liberating. Whoever gets on your nerves ends up controlling you. Not because that person is strong, but because, at that moment, you gave them something that should have stayed with you. No one truly lives freely while the moods of others dictate what happens within their own heart. Pascal said that a strong person controls their impulses before they begin to rule their life. And that's what many people are losing today, the ability to pause for a second before responding, to take a breath before speaking, to assess the situation before exploding. Imagine your mind as a glass full of water. When it's calm, any touch creates small ripples that quickly disappear. But when it's full of agitation, a small movement causes it all to spill. Many people live like this, always overflowing, reacting without thinking, letting any provocation decide how their day will be, as if they had no choice. Stoicism shows the opposite path. It teaches that no emotion should enter your mind without first being observed, and that every impulsive reaction exacts a price later. Anger hurts the person who feels it first. Fear paralyzes a person even before a real danger exists. Insecurity creates threats in the mind before encountering a real problem. Emotions are like the steering wheel of a car. When you hand that steering wheel over to others, you lose control. When you take it back, you choose the path. Therefore, having emotional control isn't about becoming a stone. It's not about pretending you don't feel anything. It's simply about putting each feeling in its proper place, so that it doesn't rule your inner self. When someone tries to provoke you, breathe. When someone wants to squeeze you, observe. When someone tries to control you, remain silent. Silence is not escape, it's strategy. Pausing is not weakness, it's mastery. Calmness is not a lack of feeling, it's a sign that you've returned to yourself. If you want to know how strong you are, observe how much you can manage not to react in the most heated moment. The more you control your impulses, the more control you gain over your entire life. And take that with you from now on. You choose who can enter your peace. This phrase is your boundary, your shield, a reminder that no provocation deserves the key to your tranquility. Because, in the end, controlling emotions doesn't mean feeling less. It's about feeling attentively, acting purposefully, and showing the world with calm firmness that your mind belongs to someone, and that person is you. Number 3. Learn to choose yourself before waiting for someone else to choose you. Have you ever noticed how your own mind can become an enemy when you start doubting who you are? Overthinking is tiring, confusing, creates problems that don't exist, and generates a distorted image of yourself, making you seem less than you really are. The hardest part is that all of this happens silently, only on the inside. On the outside, you continue living, working, smiling, as if everything is fine. The truth is simple. When you don't accept yourself, the world becomes a great judgment. Any opinion sounds like condemnation. Every criticism seems like danger. Every silence seems like rejection. Without realizing it, you place your worth in the hands of people who don't even know how to take care of their own emotions. The Stoics understood this behavior well. Cicero said that the mind becomes ill when it seeks too much approval. This is because seeking validation is like drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. That's how the need for approval becomes a trap. You never feel complete. You never think you're good enough. You never truly rest. Think about it for a moment. Living in pursuit of confirmation is like carrying a heavy mirror on your back, constantly checking if your reflection pleases anyone, if you look good enough, right enough, acceptable enough. The price of that is high. You disappear into the image and lose touch with who you really are. But there is a powerful change, perhaps one of the most profound anyone can experience. Everything transforms when you decide to be your own support. When you respect yourself, you stop accepting less. When you listen to yourself, you stop seeking so much noise outside. When you value yourself, you stop begging for attention, affection, or recognition. The world notices this change. Your walk changes, your voice changes, your choices change. Those who learn to like themselves don't ask for crumbs, don't diminish themselves, and don't waste energy trying to fit into places that aren't meant for them. This person lives in such genuine calm that no one can fake it. Stoic practice explains this clearly. Don't look for goodness in just anyone. Choose good people. People who add to your life, not drain it. People who respect you, not use you. People who uplift you, not hurt you. And not because you depend on them, but because now you understand that you don't need to abandon yourself to be accepted. And when your mind tries to hinder you, because that happens to everyone, remember, not every thought deserves to become truth. Much of human suffering stems from wrong ideas that should never have taken root. And if this message resonated with you, write in the comments, "Today, I chose to like myself." It may seem strange to say this out loud, but this is your new inner attitude. Now you no longer depend on applause, approval, or the presence of others, because the day you treat yourself with kindness, the world learns, through your example, to treat you with respect. Number 4, stop outsourcing your life. Stop. Have you ever noticed how everything starts to change the moment you stop blaming the outside world and begin to look honestly inward? That's where a special, quiet, yet very strong force is born, transforming the way you walk through the world. This strength emerges when you understand that your choices, your actions, and even your mistakes are part of a story that only you can live. This doesn't require perfection. It requires courage. Courage to accept that no one will organize your life for you. No one will heal what hurts you. No one will walk the path that only your own steps can travel. The Stoics called this self-governance. It's the ability to guide one's own life like a captain guides a ship on the open sea. Every experienced captain knows that he doesn't control the wind, he doesn't control the waves, he doesn't control the tides, but he holds the helm, and that changes everything. Now imagine the scene. The sky darkens, the sea becomes rough, the boat rocks. The common reaction is to blame the storm, complain about luck, curse fate. But there's a point that decides how this journey ends. If you let go of the helm, the sea chooses for you. This is where many people stop. And it is precisely here that responsibility begins. Because responsibility isn't about choosing the scenario, it's about choosing how to navigate it. It's in this delicate space between destiny and choice that Schopenhauer leaves a phrase that sums it all up. Destiny shuffles the cards, but we are the ones who play them. This isn't about luck, it's about attitude. Even when the world turns everything upside down around you, you're still the one who decides which card to play. And that small, silent decision, which almost no one sees, is what defines the path of your life. Taking responsibility isn't about accumulating blame. It's about accumulating awareness. It's understanding that a mistake isn't a condemnation, it's a mirror. It doesn't define who you are. It shows you where you need to adjust. He points out what needs to change so that you can become who you haven't yet managed to be. A stumbling block can be what makes you constantly fall, or it can become the first step on a path you keep postponing out of fear. Responsibility is also emotional maturity. It's realizing that bad choices stem from jumbled feelings. That's why you don't make decisions when you're full of anger. You don't make promises when you're too excited. You don't give your peace to someone who lives in inner conflict. It's about taking care of your time, your energy, and the future you're building one step at a time. Only you can destroy or save your own life. It's not your partner. It's not your family, it's not your boss, it's not your past. It's you, with the habits you repeat, the boundaries you fail to set, the silences you accept, the decisions you make when no one is watching. Stopping the idea of passing your life over to others means stopping waiting for someone to admit a mistake they'll never admit. It's about maintaining your dignity even when others don't approve of you. It's about saying no when people expect you to give in. It's about choosing what strengthens you, not what only makes you forget. And before blaming anyone, there's a question that becomes a guiding principle. What is truly in my hands right now? When this question becomes a habit, everything transforms. Opinions lose weight, distractions lose ground, fears lose power, and you begin to walk with a firmness that doesn't depend on anyone's approval. Taking responsibility is that, being your own support, your own direction, your own leader. It's the moment when you stop waiting for life to carry you and decide to hold your own life with both hands. Number 5, don't go around broadcasting your problems. Have you ever noticed how certain pains intensify when you place them in the hands of someone who doesn't know how to handle them? Not everyone who listens to you understands you, and not everyone who seems to truly care actually does. This is one of the hardest lessons of adult life. But when you understand this, many things stop weighing you down inside. The world is full of curious people who pretend to help, cold people who disguise themselves as friends, and people who only get close to find out where you are vulnerable. Opening your heart to just anyone is like leaving the door open during a storm. You don't choose what comes in or what can be taken away. The Stoics already knew this. Epictetus said that words pass like the wind, but vulnerability takes root. Everything you reveal ceases to be just yours, and when you give your pain to someone who doesn't know how to care, you end up hurting yourself even more, precisely when you need support the most. Think honestly. There is a very small group of people who truly want what's best for you. These are the people who offer a calming silence, not judgments disguised as advice. They are the ones who hold your pain with respect, without turning your feelings into opinions, gossip, or self-interest. Your heart is like a flame. In the right hands it illuminates, in the wrong hands it goes out. The Stoic posture begins precisely here, carefully choosing who deserves to hear what is happening inside you. Not every ear deserves your truths. Not every presence deserves your outpourings. Not every companion should enter the special space of your intimacy. Some people don't want to understand you. They want to analyze you. Others don't want to support you. They want to compare you. Some don't want to listen. They want to keep your pain to use later. Therefore, before opening your heart, ask yourself a simple question that avoids a lot of suffering. Does this person want to welcome me or just observe me? Your peace is worth more than the curiosity of others. Your mind is worth more than the opinion of outsiders. And your pain is worth more than the words of someone who doesn't even mind their own business. From now on, be the protector of your peace. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to open your soul to just anyone. And you shouldn't turn your vulnerability into a spectacle. You become stronger when you choose better. You grow when you observe more, and you are freed when you understand that your intimacy is not entertainment. It is a sacred place. Number 6, be good, but have limits. Some people only show up when they want something and disappear exactly when you need support. This doesn't happen by luck or misfortune. It's a recurring habit. And when life wants to teach you something, it shows you the same scene several times until you finally realize it. At that moment, a truth is born that hurts, but also sets you free. When you don't see your own worth, you end up becoming an easy target for those who only take and never offer anything in return. There are people who don't truly walk with you. They only stay close to what you can give. They don't seek you out. They seek what you can solve, what you can deliver, and how much you can endure. And when you don't set boundaries, this dynamic becomes exhausting, hurtful, and draining until almost nothing is left of you for yourself. The Stoics understood this long ago. Cicero said that being truly good requires wisdom, because goodness without care ceases to be a virtue and becomes permission for disrespect, abuse, and emotional parasitism. The comparison is simple and difficult to ignore. Being a good person isn't about becoming like dirt, because those who live like dirt are trampled until they lose their original form. This doesn't mean closing your heart or becoming hardened. It means choosing better, saving the best of yourself for those who also know how to offer the best of themselves. Kindness is valuable, but it only grows in good soil, never where there is selfishness, greed, or indifference. Ask yourself honestly, does this person care for me the same way I care for them, or do they just pick up what I drop? If this question bothers you, it's not an exaggeration. It's a clear sign. You're not here to be used, nor to carry people who should already be walking on their own, nor to beg for attention from those who don't even know their own worth. Boundaries don't push people away. They ward off abuse. They don't close paths. They heal wounds. And above all, they don't leave you cold, they leave you whole. Yes, accepting that your kindness has limits isn't pride, it's growth. When you learn to protect your energy, you stop giving yourself out of fear, guilt, or habit, and start consciously offering your presence only to those who truly deserve to be around. And there's one last truth that needs to be said calmly. You weren't born to be used. You were born to be recognized, and whoever doesn't see your worth doesn't deserve the privilege of your presence. Number 7. The only thing you truly control is your mind. Have you ever noticed how some people get tired of trying to control everything around them? They want to control other people's opinions, how people act, the future, and even what might happen tomorrow. Even so, they remain confused inside. This happens because all pain originates from the same point. When we try to control what was never under our control and forget what always was, our own mind. The Stoics understood this very firmly. They knew that dominating the world is impossible, but taking care of oneself is something that cannot be neglected by those who wish to live calmly, with direction and respect. That's why Epictetus said that true freedom begins when you focus only on what depends on you. And what depends on you begins exactly where most people run away from. Your thoughts, the way you understand things, your decisions, and your character. Imagine your mind as the steering wheel of a ship. If you let go of the steering wheel, any wave will carry you away from who you are. But when you hold on tight, even in the middle of the storm, you don't control the sea, but you know where you're going, and that's what saves you. Taking care of your mind is that quiet, strong act of taking back control. When everything tries to throw you off balance, it's learning to choose what comes in, changing what stays, and silencing what pulls you away from the person you want to be. And life won't make it easy. Some people will only remember your mistakes, others will misunderstand your intentions, and many won't even notice the effort you're making. But life never asks if they approved. The real question is, were you true to who you are? When you live to please others, the world starts using you. When you try to control everything, the world ends up frustrating you. But when you start to govern yourself, the world can no longer bring you down. A flame doesn't control the wind, but it controls the strength of its fire. That's what keeps it burning, even when everything is blowing against it. The practice is simple and profound. Observe your thoughts before acting on them. Think before reacting and remain true to your values, even when no one is watching. Perfectionism paralyzes you, comparison exhausts you, and a lack of direction makes you just walk without living. But when you work on your mind, you recover 3 strengths that no one can take away: clarity, focus, and firmness. You stop being someone who only reacts to the world and become someone who builds their world from within. You stop begging and start choosing. You stop merely surviving and begin to awaken. Because in the end, there's a big difference between living aimlessly and living consciously, knowing that the steering wheel has always been in your hands. Number 8. Forgiving is freeing your heart from the past. Have you ever noticed how resentment takes hold within you, even when the world outside keeps moving forward? Holding on to grudges is like carrying a backpack full of rocks. At first you can bear it, but over time each step becomes heavier, slower, and more tiring. For the Stoics, the pain didn't come from what happened, but from the emotional connection we maintain with the past. That's why forgiveness isn't a gift for the person who hurt you. It's a gift for yourself. It's a way to regain your peace. Think about it simply. Resentment is like a chain tied to your foot. Forgiveness is the key that's already in your hand. When you don't forgive, you're not punishing the person who hurt you. You're keeping your own wound open. The past becomes a weight pulling you back, while you try to move forward, carrying something that should have already stayed at the bottom of the sea. Nietzsche said something powerful. The mind can hold memories, but the heart wasn't made to hold poison. And that's what resentment becomes when it lingers too long. A slow, silent poison that erodes your peace without you realizing it. Forgiving doesn't erase what happened. It only removes the control the past had over you. Forgiveness restores strength, organizes the mind, and creates space for what truly matters: being present, seeing clearly, and having direction. The Stoic practice is clear. To forgive is not to agree, it is to liberate oneself. It is not to justify, it is to let go. It is not to go back, it is to keep moving forward. Ask yourself what you are still carrying that no longer deserves to remain within you. And when the answer appears, remember, letting go of what hurt you is not weakness, it is emotional maturity. Those who try to carry everything suffer more. Those who let go breathe easier. If this text spoke to you now, repeat silently, "I choose to be light." This phrase is a peaceful agreement with your own peace. It's you telling yourself that your life will not be guided by old pains. Forgiveness is the door, lightness is the path, and freedom begins the moment you decide to cross over. Number 9. Don't carry guilt that isn't yours. There's an invisible weight that many people carry without realizing it. Guilt for everything that goes wrong. Guilt for not being able to save someone, for not meeting others' expectations, for not being exactly who others expected. Little by little, you start living as if you're always owing something, as if you need to compensate the world simply for existing. This kind of guilt doesn't educate, correct, or improve anyone. It only wears you down. The Stoics were very clear about this. Guilt only makes sense when it points to real responsibility, something that is under your control and can be corrected. Otherwise, it becomes an emotional prison. Epictetus said that suffering for something beyond your control is choosing unnecessary pain. And that's exactly what happens when you take on blame for decisions, mistakes, or limitations of other people. You are not responsible for saving those who don't want to change. You are not responsible for carrying other people's moods. You are not responsible for filling voids that you didn't create. When you try to do that, you end up becoming a hostage to stories that aren't yours. Life starts to weigh you down because you're carrying baggage you should never have taken on. Releasing yourself from this guilt isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming fair to yourself. It's about looking at the facts clearly and saying, "This doesn't belong to me." The Stoic practice here is simple, but it requires courage. Whenever an emotional burden arises, ask yourself an honest question. Was this really under my control? If the answer is no, let go. Don't argue. Don't relive. Don't carry it. Letting go doesn't erase the past, but it prevents it from continuing to control your present. When you give back to the world what was never yours, you have space to live with more lightness, dignity, and focus. Guilt that isn't yours doesn't make you better. It only tires you. And the day you understand that is the day you begin to walk with more firmness and less inner weight. Number 10. Learn to be at peace with yourself. There is a silence that frightens many people. It is the silence of being alone without distractions, without applause, without anyone watching. That is why so many people live busy, connected, talking, explaining, justifying themselves, not because they love the noise, but because they still don't know how to be at peace with who they are when no one is watching. The Stoics saw this as a clear sign of maturity. Those who are at peace with themselves don't need to avoid their own company. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself in moments of solitude, not to distract himself, but to find alignment. He knew that the mind needs quiet reflection to avoid getting lost in the excesses of the world. True stability is born when you don't depend on external stimuli to feel whole. Being at peace with yourself isn't about isolating yourself from the world. It's about not needing the world to constantly validate you. It's about sitting in silence and not feeling the urge to prove anything. It's about accepting who you are today, without denying your limitations and without turning every failure into a personal attack. When you can tolerate yourself, you stop sabotaging yourself. When you accept yourself, you stop begging. The Stoic practice here is straightforward. Create moments of intentional silence. No cell phone, no conversation, no distractions. Just you, your thoughts, and your breath. Observe the discomfort without running away. It passes, and when it passes, something new appears. Clarity. In this space, you begin to hear what truly matters, to differentiate fear from intuition, lack from real need. Those who learn to be at peace with themselves walk through the world with a different attitude. They don't despair over rejection, they don't get lost in comparisons, and they don't trade their own dignity for attention. Inner peace isn't born when everything is resolved externally. It's born when you stop fighting inside. And when that happens, life stops feeling like a constant burden and finally begins to make sense. Number 11. True happiness only comes from within. Have you ever noticed how everything seems lighter when you understand that what happens outside doesn't completely control what happens inside you? The freedom that many people seek isn't about acquiring things, receiving praise, or living perfect moments. It stems from virtue, clarity, and the way you perceive the world. The Stoics always repeated a simple idea: how you understand life makes all the difference. They said that no one can be truly happy, while depending on what they cannot control. It's impossible to have a peaceful heart if the mind is trapped in anxiety, fear, and frustration. And these feelings almost always arise from unrealistic expectations, silent comparisons, and attempts to control what was never one's responsibility. To build true inner strength, you need to go through situations that are beyond your control, not run away from them. Only those who learn to take care of what is theirs, even when the world doesn't help, become strong. Think of your mind as a house. You don't choose when it will rain or be windy outside, but you do choose who enters, what stays, and what needs to leave so that the place remains clean and safe. True happiness is born from that inner door that only you can open or close. Marcus Aurelius explained this in a striking way when he said that life is opinion. Not a shallow opinion, but a profound one. What you think about the world creates the world you feel. Your interpretation shapes your emotions, and your inner vision defines how your days will be lived. Therefore, your happiness depends on three forces that have always been with you. Your will, which chooses what you nourish internally, your judgments, which give meaning to what happens, and the conscious use of these judgments, which decides how you act in the face of life. When you learn to command these three forces, life ceases to seem like a constant struggle and becomes a path you walk with more calm, attention, and firmness. True happiness is not in tomorrow, nor in applause, nor in the absence of problems. It lies in how you respond to the present, in the way you think, choose, feel, and act. Ultimately, happiness isn't something you find out there. It's something you build. It doesn't reside in events, but in the meaning you give them. It's not outside, it's inside you. It's in the only place where you've always had control, your own mind.